By the time it takes me to reach the end of this sentence, somewhere in this heavily populated nation, a baby has been born. According to the US Census, approximately every 8 seconds, a new life is introduced into this world. Every 13 minutes, 31 lives are deprived from being introduced into this world. Every 7 minutes, one woman dies due to unsafe abortion. Since Roe v. Wade, over 30 years ago, over 52 million abortions have been safely executed, enabling mothers, fathers, and whole families to pursue their goals and aspirations. For years, the application of conscious elimination of human pregnancy has been a much discussed contention. Social problems are dynamic. That is to say that social problems are constantly evolving given society evolves. For instance, prior to 1973, abortion was illegal and any physician performing such procedures was subject to time in prison. Since Roe v. Wade in 1973, the Supreme Court ruled abortion in America legal. Through this law, the Supreme Court had to provide a balance between both the pregnant woman's health and the protection of the prenatal life. Thus, the Supreme Court ruled abortion legal as long as it took place prior to the 3rd trimester of the woman's pregnancy, essentially any time before the baby is born. The reason why the 3rd trimester became the boundary is because it was ruled that fetal life is not viable until then. Therefore, women were allowed to have abortions the first 6 months of their pregnancy. The only exception to 3rd trimester abortions was if the mother's health was at risk. Eventually, however, states were given the right to regulate abortion laws in their own state. Even so, according to Guttmacher Institute, America has the highest abortion rate in the Western world and the 3rd highest worldwide. States dictate to what degree abortion is legal and under what circumstances. In North Dakota, for instance, a woman is not allowed to have an abortion 6 weeks after her missed menstrual cycle. The reason for this restriction is North Dakota deemed life to start the moment there is a heartbeat in the fetus, which is at 6 weeks. However, more than half of the United States prohibits abortion after 26 weeks, past 5 months of pregnancy, nearly 6. The reason for this is these states deemed it acceptable for a woman to have an abortion if the baby is not viable, meaning if the baby is not able to survive outside of the mother's womb. 9 states in the nation have no restrictions on abortion laws. These states include Alaska, Mississippi, New Jersey, Colorado, Oregon, New Mexico, Vermont, D.C., and Virginia. Prior to the legalization of abortion procedures were executed. However, like mentioned earlier, society evolves, and it seems the driving force behind abortions have also evolved. Given that abortions are now more accessible than before, and now legal, the driving forces are rarely health risks anymore. According to a recent study conducted by Guttmacher Institute, less than 0.5% of abortions in America are due to rape. Roughly 97% of abortions in America are merely elective, healthy women ending the lives of healthy children. According to a study published in the journal Perspectives on Sexual and Reproductive Health, one of the top reasons women have abortion today is due to the fear of not being able to financially support a baby. Another reason for abortion in women today is relationship problems or the fear of becoming a single mother. Another reason women often give for having an abortion is that carrying the pregnancy full term would interfere with their education and or their career. It is important to keep in mind that social location plays a major role in who gets abortions. According to Brookings.edu, unintended birth rates are almost 5 times higher for women whose income is below the federal poverty line than for women whose income is 4 times the poverty level or higher. Also, since abortions are typically offered in cities, women living in or closer to cities are most likely to get an abortion, just like a study published entitled Patterns in the Socioeconomic Characteristics of Women Obtaining Abortions in 2000 through 2001 showed that the abortion rate among women living in metropolitan counties in the year 2000 was still twice that among women residing in non-metropolitan counties. Also, abortion rates for previously married or never before married women were nearly 4 times higher than those of married women. Who does abortion affect? Abortion affects the whole nation. On a micro level, it not only affects the pregnant woman, but her family, if any, and at times the father of the child, given that everywhere in the world except in China, a man has no say in a woman's decision to end his unborn child's life. Abortion also has an effect on physicians and insurance companies, both public and private. These effects can be emotional, psychological, and financial. On a macro level, abortion affects the quality of society's physical safety and welfare. For instance, many pro-life activists have taken a path of violence in attempts to shut down abortion clinics. According to the book Social Problems and the Quality of Life by Robert and Jeanette Lauer, although violence related to the abortion movement has decreased, there are still reports of death threats, stalking, vandalism, and arson. What are the health risks of abortion? Allowing for abortion to be effectuated on a woman's body poses health risks, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Some cases have even resulted in death. An astonishing 65% of women who have had an abortion claim to suffer from post-traumatic stress. Some physical repercussions a woman may face after an abortion include shock, pelvic inflammatory disease, a punctured uterus, infertility, and a higher risk of a future miscarriage. Psychological and emotional repercussions lead to emotional and mental instability and can even lead to mental illness and eating disorders. Research led by lead author Professor David Ferguson concluded that women who came to full term in their unwanted or untimed pregnancy experienced less mental health problems than those women who decided to get an abortion. In his book, Aborted Woman, Silent No More by Dr. David Reardon, we find that 60% of the women in his research demonstrated suicidal thoughts and feelings. Abortion also has an effect on the economy. Though logic may lead many to believe that abortion helps the nation save money, the truth is quite the contrary. Although the argument is sound and holds some truth, not having abortions stimulates the economy. According to Mark Kretcher, president of Life Dynamics Incorporation, the cost of abortion to society, if calculable, would be astronomical to the point of the average person incapable of comprehending it. Children possess physical needs such as clothing and diapers. Eventually, those children require medical attention, which increases the demand of work, thus creating more jobs. Ever since abortion has been legalized in the United States, about 45 million potential members of the American society and workforce have been destroyed. Fewer babies means fewer consumers, which entails less demand for goods and services. According to the Social Security Administration, the growth rate of the United States economy will slow down, and according to them, it's due to slower projected growth in labor force and employment. Who benefits from abortions? The mother and their immediate family benefit from legal abortions by granting them the freedom of what they perceive to be a burden, but this is not always the case given the possible emotional and psychological repercussions mentioned earlier. Those who also benefit from abortions are physicians, and even then, some physicians may experience emotional distress. Physicians benefit from abortion if the procedure is paid for by the patient. During an interview, a former clinic worker and owner was asked what is the driving force behind the abortion industry. Their response was the following: money. It's a very lucrative business. It is the largest unregulated industry in our nation. Most of the clinics are running chains because it is so profitable. Another former abortionist stated, I had so much money, I would go out to lunch sometimes, out of boredom, and buy a new automobile. Sometimes I would leave in the afternoon, and I would fly to another city to have dinner. I had money coming out of my ears. I couldn't spend it fast enough. One abortionist who is still in practice and has executed over 20,000 abortions states that it is a cash business, that the money would fill the drawers. He claims there was so much money that counting it was so time consuming, so the money would be placed in a room, and by the end of the weekend, when you'd enter the room, you'd walk into a sea of money. The Affordable Care Act, signed into law in 2010, had an effect on abortion in America. In the US, an abortion can cost up to nearly $2,000, although it is often less. The cost of abortion depends on the degree and quality of medical care, as well as how far into the pregnancy a woman is. Once a woman is in her second trimester, abortion prices rise. States have the right to allow or disallow abortions to be covered under the Affordable Care Act. 20 states have already outlawed this. This means, however, that over half of the nation hasn't. According to the estimation of Kaiser Family Foundation, nearly half the women insured under Obamacare are eligible for abortion coverage. The coverage for abortion under Obamacare only encourages women to have abortions, for it provides positive reinforcement and makes the procedure more accessible. Abortion and the coverage of it under Obamacare is a social problem because it has an effect on real life. In the 1970s, an amendment was passed stating that the government's budget could not be used to pay for abortions. Obamacare, however, is able to directly fund healthcare projects through different pathways, thus making Obamacare eligible for abortion coverage. President Obama constantly assured that Obamacare would not cover abortions. He even signed Executive Order 13535 that guaranteed this. However, an executive order is not the law, and Obama, a Harvard graduate, is aware of that. In the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, President Obama stated, "Abortions will not be covered in the pre-existing condition insurance plan except in case of rape or incest or where the life of the woman would be endangered." On January 22, 2012, President Obama's statement issued on the 39th anniversary of Roe v. Wade was the following: "While this is a sensitive and often divisive issue, no matter what our views, we must stay united in our determination to prevent unintended pregnancies, support pregnant women and mothers, reduce the need for abortion, encourage healthy relationships, and promote adoption." Abortion is detrimental, not only to the United States, but to humans, period. It compromises the morality of a human being and, on a macro level, the morality of a nation. Advocates of abortion argue that abortion is moral on the grounds that decision should be an intrinsic right. Abortion supporters claim terminating a pregnancy is not an unethical act. Abortion advocates believe that every individual woman has a say as to what can and cannot occur with her body. Also, they claim that a fetus does not possess the value of life since they are merely a mass of tissue, therefore being oblivious to all physical feeling of pain or pleasure. We as a nation seem to habitually desire to utilize the Constitution of the U.S. in efforts to justify our actions and the rights we possess, and seem to embrace that as our foundation to a lawful living. But, at its mere foundation, one thing we as a nation, and one thing we as a human race inherently value above all is life itself, though that seems to be diminishing. Although abortion advocates argue that abortion is moral, it is immoral, for abortions can be unsafe. The ownership of our body has limitations, a fetus possesses life, and a fetus is indeed able to feel. Abortion lacks personal and social morality tremendously. There is no virtuous result from the annihilation of a human. Abortion deprives the unborn child of freedom and of life. It is a tyrannical act where a woman dictates the future of an unborn but living human. What naturally embedded right do women possess where they can despotically select who is to live and who is to not? Hospitalizations worldwide due to unsafe abortion procedures accrue annually. Allowing abortion is advocating abortion. Living in a nation sated with proponents supporting abortion is concomitant to inflicting harm to pregnant women. This is unethical, for the woman's rights to health and safety are violated. The liberties to do as we please with our bodies have restrictions and limitations. In his book in regards to libertarianism, Michael J. Sandel claims, "Each of us has a fundamental right to liberty, the right to do whatever we want with the things we own, provided we respect other people's rights to do the same." For example, our choice to text while driving on the freeway with a risk and higher chance of dying due to a car accident is morally acceptable, as long as no harm is inflicted upon an individual because we cannot violate the rights of others' rights to their own body. The issue with this is we do not know whether or not our actions will harm others. We cannot predict and guarantee a car will not be hit, causing another stir of car accidents and possibly death. The death of other people without their will is violation of their liberty to their bodies, and if taking another human's life other than ours, it is unethical and unacceptable. If we want to claim that we do indeed own our bodies, we must be able to universalize this principle, meaning every human upon the face of this earth does as well. If a human murders another human, they have violated the victim's rights of not only life, but of health and safety, protected under the 10th Amendment. Abortion is executing what the woman pleases because she is entitled to what she wants with her body, but that violates the respect of life for the fetus, not her body, but the body of another human being. Therefore, abortion is morally wrong because every abortion stops a life from evolving. A fetus is smaller and less developed than a newborn. A newborn is smaller and less developed than an adult. Does that mean the newborn possesses a smaller right to life than the adult? The limitations of rights to our body limits us in harming others, and that is clearly what abortion is establishing, ending a life that has the right to be born into this world along with others. According to Singer, the removal of a fetus can be morally justified because in a utilitarian calculation, the woman's choice is outweighed by the fetus because up to 18 weeks, the fetus has no capacity to suffer or feel satisfaction, and therefore not possible for it to make choices, therefore morally permissible. This utilitarian calculation can be extremely biased and not measured accurately. Singer defines life as one capable of preferences, and the prerequisite to having preferences, the fetus must have sensations of suffering or satisfaction. The issue with Singer's logic is that having the capacity to feel does not define life itself. To apply and to remain consistent with his logic, a person who does not have the capacity to feel pain or suffering is not alive. There are cases with diseases where people do not have the capacity to feel pain, such as CIPA, congenital insensitivity to pain with anhidrosis. Are they not alive because they don't feel? The only way abortion can be morally justified is if the fetus is removed from the woman's body and is able to be sustained to develop without harm, whether it be on his or her own or through the aid of machinery such as a baby cubicle. Naturally, everyone protects their own life, and at times the life of others such as their loved ones. It is in our nature to do so, and in our nature to protect our rights to maintaining the safety of our being. Humans do not wish to have their rights to life violated or dictated by another individual. If it is morally correct to extract a human from another human and take a human's right to life, then through the application of that logic, it is morally correct for your life to be taken this instant. It is morally justified to deprive you of your life in attempts to eliminate any potential occlusion and burdens that can pose a threat to my advancement towards a successful future, as 75% of women who have had an abortion have claimed about their unborn child. Abortions should not be legal in America. They are detrimental to the economy, and more importantly, abortion compromises the integrity of the nation's morality. On a micro level, thousands of women's lives are being changed due to the effects of abortion, such as post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety, and even health issues. Making abortion illegal will make abortion less accessible and will discourage women to seek such avenue. As previously mentioned, research has shown that women who choose to come to full term in their pregnancy suffer from less repercussions than those who decide to have an abortion. Although making abortion illegal will not completely eliminate abortion, like the Senior Vice President of Family Research Council stated, establishing legal limits to the current absolute right to abortion will mean fewer abortions. The power of the people is limited, and ultimately it is up to the government officials to allow a true movement against abortion at a large scale. Although the idea of making abortion illegal in this nation seems unattainable and not a feasible experience to reach, the removal of Obamacare abortion coverage is a great start in the political aspect, because it will remove the encouragement and easy access to abortions that it currently provides. As President Obama stated in his Roe v. Wade anniversary speech, the country should strive to prevent unintended pregnancies, support pregnant women and mothers, reduce the need for abortion, encourage healthy relationships, and promote adoption. Educating and informing both men and women about pregnancy through school and community programs can help prevent unintended pregnancies. Encouraging this generation to cultivate healthy relationships is also an effective platform and foundation for a reduced number of unintended pregnancies and essentially reduced number of abortions. Support for pregnant women and mothers can be increased through government programs and can even be subsidized with the finances currently being directed and used to cover abortions through Obamacare. The power to change the social problem lies within America, and you are America. Together, we are America.